This is Taylor Lorenz. She's like a left-wing political analyst, like news kind of a person. And she's doing this interview on Breaking Points talking about why she defends the need for smartphones in the hands of kids. But she says that there aren't really any problems associated with phones, but really the problems just come from a misuse of them. And just to be clear, the reason why I'm talking about this is because phones are a danger in that there is an aspect of Christianity that is really being damaged in a lot of people's lives. Like the ability to sit still and to meditate, to focus on God is being dramatically hurt by the fact that we have low attention spans and we have such a desire to be stimulated with whatever's on our screens. There's so many passages in the Bible about being able to focus, to think, to meditate, to think, to spend time just thinking about God, thinking about his law, meditating on him in the night watches. And all of those things are things we don't do because we'd rather have a phone in our face. That's why these conversations matter.
It does seem to me, well, first of all, just in my own life, I'm not a kid anymore. My brain is better formed than kids that are still developing. But even myself, since smartphones have come around, I think I read less. I do more audiobooks. I used to be able to sit down and read 10, 20, 30 pages at a stretch and then take a little break or something. Now it's like a page and a half, and I find myself like distracted or scrolling.
I think if you're an adult, you probably feel that exact thing. If you grew up, if you can remember life before phones, and I definitely can, before smartphones in everyone's hands, and now, I'm sure you can feel that same exact thing that he just said. That's a very universal thing.
Combine that with the rates of anxiety and depression that we're seeing in this society. Why are we wrong?
Well,
to link these
you could
things.
Combine that with the rate of baggy pants, Ryan, and you would find also a correlation. That doesn't mean that those things
actually skinnier in that period of time.
Skinny pants. So what I would caution people against is making these broad-based sort of conclusions. We actually had quite literally.
I'm not distracted from the book to look at my baggy pants.
But you are making that.
So he's saying basically, I think that you can see this correlation between the increased anxiety, lack of attention span, and having smartphones in your hands all day long. And she's saying there's no connection that you can show between those two things. You can show the same thing between the size of someone's pants and their attention span. She's basically saying there's no way that you can connect those two things.
Correlation that just does not exist in research. And we have the top researchers, people like Candace Odgers, who wrote a great piece for The Atlantic on this exact topic, Alice Marwick, like people that have studied this issue in depth for years and years and years, coming out and saying, hey, we actually do know the cause of some of these broader issues, anxiety, all of these other things. We know those causes and they're not related to phones. There's no correlation between those things. And it is just a fact based on the research that we have that is just not a sort of a clear correlation. That's not to say that Ryan...
What does she say they are?
Oh gosh, you have to read her piece. It's kind of long and I don't want to mess it up. But
that's fascinating. So she goes, there's no studies. In fact, there is a study out there that was done by someone that I like, and that study really agrees with my conclusion. And it says that phones aren't the problem. And he goes, so what is the problem? She goes, oh, I don't remember. How would you not remember that? If you really stand behind that study and it says phones aren't the problem and it gives an alternative, how would you not remember that? That's very telling.
But all sorts of things. I mean, 1 in 6 kids is growing up below the poverty line. Like, I don't know, just all of these other things that kids are dealing with. Like they're growing up in a pretty stressful world. And they're told, just the way that I was told that video games were, destroying our lives back in, when I was growing up, we had the video game sort of panic where people were like, oh, these kids spend hours and hours on the video games. It's destroying their mental health. It's making them violent. Like we've seen these moral panics play out over and over and over again. That doesn't mean...
See, look at that. She didn't really give anything as like, this is the real problem. She's going, well, there's kids that grow up poor. Kids have always grown up poor. For like all of even just American history, there's always been poverty. And we're having problems today that we haven't really had before. So now she's just going to say, this is just moral panic. We're just scapegoating phones.
The video games, it's destroying their mental health. It's making them violent. Like we've seen these moral panics play out over and over and over again. That doesn't mean that everyone has a healthy relationship with their phone and you shouldn't worry. What we know is that the way that you are can often inform your behavior. So if you are already depressed and you go down a rabbit hole, that can exacerbate it or whatever. But it is sort of like, it is more a symptom rather than the problem. And when we're treating it as the problem rather than the symptom of the problem, we don't ever get to address the sort of core issues. And there are core issues that sort of lead to these mental health issues among children. And that does not mean that they should be able to sit on the cell phones all day. But what I would say is a lot of this moral panic is tied to content.
Who's the person out there that has a smartphone in their hand all day and they go, I am actually less anxious now. I'm actually really chill now. I'm actually less self-conscious. I'm actually like, my depression's a lot better now. My attention span has increased a lot. Like, who's the person out there saying that? She's saying like, it just like exacerbates. If you're already problematic, it'll make you more problematic, but that's really your fault, not the phone. Who out there got better in terms of these areas because of their phones? So she cites those studies and she goes, hey, this study that I really like says that phones aren't really the problem. And then look what happens when Emily here says, well, I have some studies that say the opposite of that.
I want to get your take, though, on, I mean, I'm looking at, I have 3 studies pulled up, one from Plus One, one from Scientific Reports, and this other one is from,
I just want to say, before you pull up any studies, we have to look at the body of research, and we have to look at how, and I can't speak to these specific studies.
Sure.
But what I would say is that all of the top researchers on this topic, this specific topic, got together last year and issued an 82-page report surveying the overwhelming amount of sort of studies on this topic and debunked a lot of misleading studies pushed by this man, Jonathan Haidt.
So look at that. So she can cite her studies. But then when Emily goes, all right, so you cited one study. I have 3 here. She goes, look, my study was done by the top people. She didn't even ask her, who did your studies? She didn't even say anything along those lines. She wasn't like, well, who did the study? Who are the people that funded it? Nothing. She just goes, hey, look, before you try to give your studies, my study's the best, and the people who did my study are the best too. So therefore, I mean, why do I even need to hear that out?
Person.
I'm not even going to get into Haidt here. The other one here is from the Journal of Association for Consumer Research, and I'm not an expert on this. So I'm just saying these are studies not about anxiety or any of that. This is a study that shows, and this is particular to the phone ban issue. I think it's salient. Separately, that show the kind of brain drain phenomenon. I think we all probably feel this intuitively, or maybe you disagree, which is that as you're doing studies, even having a phone near you, even if it's like flipped down, reduces cognitive capacity. And so on the question of whether or not it's proper for a school district to say we're locking these guys up in yonder pouches from the beginning of the school day to the end of the school day, it seems to me that addresses the very specific question of whether kids' cognitive capacity is harmed while they're learning because their phones.
So Emily has a study that shows that like just having your phone right there at hand's reach, like on your table as you do something, and I'm doing that with my phone on this table right here. Just having your phone laying right there reduces your cognitive capacity. Like that, there's a study that says that. And look at her answer.
Their backpack.
Yeah, but like these studies are so dubious. Like often these are industry studies, like, or they're funded by people with specific political.
So look at that. Her studies are cool. This one, oh, these are dubious. They're funded by people, but her study's great. Her study's awesome. This is Carlos Whitaker, who did something that there basically aren't really studies for, which is he decided to go about 2 months with no screens at all. 2 months, no screens at all. I mean, he even went to go like live with monks in order to really do this. So he got his brain scanned before he left, and then he got his brain scan after he came back from 2 months with no screens at all. This is what they found in his brain scan just 2 months apart.
My cerebellum healed, he said, years in a period of 7 weeks. Now, he's like, I see traumatic brain injuries, I see healing, so I can see a lot of healing. He's like, it's significant. But the kicker was my cognitive memory score. This is mind-blowing. When I did not look at a screen for 7.5 weeks, now the cognitive memory testing, I felt like I was in Stranger Things, like I walked into this office with fluorescent lights. It looked like a hospital room with a 1987 IBM computer, and it would just flash faces on the screen. And so it flashed different black and white portraits at me. And I'd watch it for like 2 minutes, and then it would stop for a minute. This is one of the tests. And then it would flash more faces. And every time I remembered a face, I'd have to hit the space bar, right? So those are the kind of tests that I was doing, remembering numbers, numerals, all those things. My memory went from the 50th percentile of adult men in America to the 99th percentile. There was only 1% of men with better memory than me when I finished this experiment. So
that is profound. In a country where cognitive decline is taking everything from us.
The brain part was very important to me because I wanted people to know that things were shifting that I wouldn't have been able to tell just by telling the story.
Well, it's not woo-woo, and it's not like
I felt different.
I did a thing.
You know,
yeah.
So I had that. But here's the kicker. When I was done, I didn't have to go back to his clinic, bro. I was so freaking sharp by 8 weeks. Like I felt like a different human. I'm glad I went back to get the testing done because it confirmed what I thought had happened. But
so look at that. He already felt so much better, but he wanted to make sure that he could establish that he was truly different. His brain was objectively better, stronger, cognitive ability, and his memory was so much better than it was before. Again, there really aren't studies because there aren't people out there who are just going to go 2 months with no screens, but he did it. Before and after, he wrote a book about it. And I think if you're watching this, you know that's pretty reasonable to imagine would happen. That you, if you didn't look at screens for 2 months, would be doing a lot better. So yes, you've got to live in a world with screens. I've got 2 screens in front of me now and my phone that's off, but I've got 2 screens in front of me now. And there's a lot of good that we can do with them. But at the very least, we need to establish that these things are a real danger and just an obvious drug that is right in front of us that we need to be deeply careful with. But let me know what you think. Am I crazy about this? Is this just moral panic? Very curious to hear what you have to say. I love you very much. God bless you. Check out my Patreon. The link is in the description below. You get an extended version of this in every video and some other perks as well. Let me know what you think. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and consider supporting on Patreon. God bless you. Lord willing, I will talk to you soon. Goodbye. And get off your phone and go pray.